Here's a slurping sound.
Welcome to Stubs with Jason. S-T-U-B-S spells Stubs.
Stubs. I don't know how far I want to go into the beats of this movie.
It's hard to discuss it without spoiling a majority of it.
Do you think it even matters?
If based on, I think, where we both sit on our ratings, no. But I don't know. I don't think we're going to really entice anyone to see this movie.
Yeah.
Based on what we're about to discuss.
I think so. All right. Well, look, then let's just... Honestly, as the music got going, I was like, all right, you know what? Like, I'm ready for this.
Sure.
Let's...
Yeah, it's been 30 years, so you don't know what to expect. When they pan up and you eventually get to the house, music stops, you see the exterior of the house, and you see her silhouette in the window. So for me to see her suddenly in a studio in a TV show, I was like, wait, that huge studio is in the attic of this house?
Is this now right? Is this where they're hosting this show?
Really,
the transition wasn't handled great. It wasn't well. It wasn't good.
Honestly, I'm still not really clear.
No, I think it's just she's made her set to look like that room.
Okay,
that's what happened essentially.
Weird.
Yeah. Justin Theroux is Lydia's producer, and she gets called away more or less. She gets a call from Catherine O'Hara's character, who is her stepmom. They get called away for family business. There's a funeral in the trailer. I'm gonna go ahead and just put it out there. It's the dad. Dad's dead. What did you think of Dad's departure sequence?
I was more interested in why they included that character, right?
At all?
So Jeffrey Jones
definitely has a bit of a story with him now.
Currently serving time for CP.
Yeah.
I thought, okay, that's a choice. So going in, I didn't know if, Alec Baldwin, who has his own legal problems.
Sure. Or Gina Davis
were going to be in this movie. I was kind of hoping to see Gina Davis. She hasn't done a lot. I always liked her.
Yeah.
But to see that character even referenced...
Sure. Not there in person, obviously. Never that actor, right. Obviously. But yes, that character looms very largely in this movie.
I was shocked, especially the size of the role as it kept going, not to spoil anything, but he was in the movie quite a bit.
Quite a bit.
I say that with air quotes because you never see him.
Yeah.
And I'm, obviously that wasn't his real voice.
Right.
But just to reference that character, I would think that they want to distance themselves. Now, I'd heard that the reason why, they didn't include Gina Davis and Alec Baldwin was because if they're ghosts, obviously they wouldn't age. They would have stayed the same. How would they handle the age? But, we've seen the de-aging happen before.
Yeah.
With good and bad results.
Yeah.
Well, mostly bad, but why couldn't they do that?
Sure.
They're kind of the heart of the first movie.
They really are. And I will say, they bring something in that first movie that this movie is missing. Like,
definitely,
there were a lot of times where I was just like, well, these are your point of entry characters.
Yeah.
And they're kind of the ones that you empathize with and relate with. And it's like, this movie has a shortage of those kind of characters in my mind.
Right.
Like,
now they're asking you to feel that way about Winona Ryder's character, which that's a stretch, right? As opposed to Barbara and Adam from the first Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
You kind of lose your heart of the movie by getting rid of those characters. I don't know. Winona Ryder has this weird thing too. I kept noticing it was kind of taking me out of the movie, and I kept focusing on her delivery, and it was very distracting. And she seems to have gotten worse at acting. I don't know, something about her delivery
You know what's funny is I think she does good in Stranger Things, though.
But she's
She's
one
a
note.
small. She's in a
I'm
smaller.
hysterical.
Yeah, it is small, and I'm hysterical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's vocal fry in like every delivery that she makes, and it's really distracting. It was tough. Like,
Yeah.
I kept getting these like druggy vibes, like she was kind of mumbling her way through. That's just how I perceived it. I don't know.
See, I would
Maybe
think
I'm
that
in the
kind of
minority.
falls in line with her character a bit. Like,
Good point.
you know what I mean? Like, she is kind of, she's
was-
got things that
yeah.
she's taking, and then
Do
obviously,
you really think she was acting that?
well,
But
I
sure.
don't know. I mean, again, I don't know.
Have you seen Bram Stoker's Dracula?
Well, that's fair. That's a fair
Oof.
point.
I mean,
Yeah.
Keanu Reeves kind of bombed that, but yeah, she didn't do it any favors. Let's just say that.
No,
Her,
they didn't.
her British accent was rough, to say the least,
Yeah.
but yeah. Anywho, I found her to be a bit distracting.
Okay.
But, getting back to the heart of the picture, I kind of thought, well, we were talking about Jeffrey Jones' character.
Yeah.
I just found it odd.
Yeah, it's a weird choice.
That-
Who died on that hill? That was like,
Right.
we got to make sure that this guy is represented. Like, I don't know if you really needed to do that, but they did.
They did, and they kind of wrapped the script, which is one of my major,
Yeah.
problems with the movie was the script. But they wrapped the script around this central character who is a person who can't even participate in the movie.
Yeah.
So that was a problem, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was the big hole that kind of was in that movie, was there was no one to relate to.
No, I think Astrid, who is Jenna Ortega.
Yeah.
So that's Winona Ryder's daughter. I think she's kind of meant to be that person,
Yeah.
but you have a hard time investing in that,
Yep.
so to go into their dynamic, so like we said earlier, this is all as a result of, grandpa dying, more or less, you know what I mean, at this point in the
Right.
story, so we're getting the stepmom, then we're getting Winona Ryder together, and then Winona Ryder has an estranged relationship with her daughter, so she has to now go and collect her, and they go and they're going to have this funeral.
And her daughter kind of sees her as a fraud.
And her daughter doesn't believe in any
Right.
of the afterlife business, right? Definitely just thinks
That's a
that this
big
is all a
piece.
big fraud,
Yeah.
and all of that. So
Yeah, I know.
I'm exhausted
It's almost
already.
not worth-
I'm just exhausted already just trying to get to the end of this movie.
It's not worth.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean,
I was hoping for less, but
it could have definitely been less. It would have benefited from a little less.
surprisingly, though, I think I'm a little higher on this than you are, which is weird because I'm hypercritical of almost everything I see.
What did you come into it with? Like we talked recently, and you said you really enjoy original
The
Beetlejuice.
original- oh yeah, it's Stone
Yeah.
Cold classic.
Yeah.
So
So let's start
let's
there.
so let me. I'll back all the way up to the original Beetlejuice. How I see that movie. That movie for me is like, it's a lampooning of 80s culture. You're ripping on yuppies. You're ripping on the the fake nature of New York art critics and the art scene in general. And no one's really safe in that movie. Even Adam, with the whole gag with, Handbook for the Recently Diseased. It's a
Yeah.
little dig at Adam in a sense. The only one that really gets out of this unscathed is Gina Davis's character, Barbara.
Yeah.
She's kind of like, down to earth. You do relate to her. That's the
Yeah.
one character, and Adam too. But she kind of comes out unscathed. Even Lydia, her ramped up drama.
Oh,
it's
my
eye
life
rolling.
is. What is she?
I have plunged, or I have
Eternal darkness or whatever.
jumped from the Winter River Bridge. I have leapt from it's something. She changed it to make it more dramatic.
Yes,
and that's
yeah.
the part where you're just like, oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
She's
yeah,
a kid.
Yeah,
and
she's a kid.
goth.
Right, a very
And
dramatic
it's-
kid. Yeah.
So
Yeah,
everybody
yeah.
gets, everybody gets the treatment. The Jeffrey Jones character, he gets, the
He's-
yuppie treatment.
Yeah.
he's a yes man to his wife.
Yeah.
And, Catherine O'Hara's character, she's the butt of every joke.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
she gets everything. Otho
Yeah.
is probably one of my favorite characters. He was kind of really, I know Glenn Shaddix is dead.
Yeah,
And that's too bad because he was really great.
He is great in that movie, man.
So
He's awesome.
many lines.
Yeah.
Otho, you can't even change a tire. One of my favorites. I mean, just everybody gets it. So it doesn't delve into social commentary. I won't go that far. But it's kind of like poking fun of the whole late 80s yuppie culture, right?
Yeah.
I kind of expected that for the new movie. I kind of thought if they're smart,
I think they try.
They tried.
I
think they tried with the Justin Theroux character, right?
Yeah.
It fell flat for me.
It fell really
There's
flat for me.
so much they could have done.
Yeah.
I mean, we are living in the most shallow time in our existence, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
They didn't touch anything of that
I
nature.
know.
They just kind of made him a dirtbag and someone who was out for money and that kind of thing. But they didn't touch any of that. That was a huge letdown for me. I kind of thought that it would be in that vein.
Yeah.
Taking a look at our culture as it is, because it's set in current day, and poking fun at it. But they didn't really go that route, and that was a disappointment. So that's kind of where I thought it was going to go. What did you think? Where did you think this was going to go?
I mean, my expectation was just literally like we're going to go replay all the greatest hits from the first movie.
And they kind of did.
And I mean, they check a lot of boxes
Yeah.
to a much lesser degree of execution.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just, yeah.
I'm okay with that, though.
Yeah, I mean, and again, that's what I expected. And again, I didn't go in with much anticipation. I had what I thought was pretty reasonable. Like, all right, well, if I go in and have a good time, that's fine. I mean,
So it sounds like you went in thinking or knowing it was going to be a bomb.
well,
I honestly did. I thought it was going to be bomb, right?
okay.
And maybe that's why I liked it a little more.
Yeah.
Because I really expected the worst outcome for this. Yeah,
And it's not the worst outcome. Yeah, I wouldn't say. No, it's
definitely
not.
could have been worse.
It could have been worse. Yeah, it could have been worse.
But maybe since my expectations were so low is why I was a little more high on it than you. But here's the thing to think about. And I was thinking, because I was really bored at the first half of this movie.
Yeah.
I was thinking about a lot of other things as
Yeah.
I was watching it. And one thing I was thinking about was there are moments in the first Beetlejuice, like in particular, when it's the scene where Beetlejuice comes out of the model and basically Burton gets the handy cam and he's basically, you create tension with the handy. You're
Sure.
kind of moving around and you're creating tension. There was none of that. I love that scene, by the way, when he gets in their face and that's where, like, hey, we're simpatico, and you get a real feel for Beetlejuice's comedic, beats
What
and
it's
stuff.
what it's going to be essentially, yeah.
So I don't see any of that. Everything's so static.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. It's like, did he become a worse filmmaker over time, or did he become better at using what he has? Like, for instance, he's relied so heavily on CGI in his, like, Alice in Wonderland, all that kind of stuff, that his movies almost became, like, so vanilla. There was none of that handycam stuff, or no surprises.
Sure.
I mean, Pee-wee's Big Adventure. There's so many chances taken in that movie. It's a total, like, opposite of where
Starving artist,
he's
man.
gone. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Though, has he become worse or has he become better? You could argue that he's gotten worse over time because it's so boring and
I think
static.
creatively.
Yeah.
So, the other thing is I watched this movie, I've heard that, again, and I know they all go out and they do the media outlets and they do their interviews, they do the press, all that crap and everything. But, like, to me, I don't understand why Michael Keaton came back for this. And you hear him out there and he's like, well, we didn't want to do it until we had the right script. And it's like, this script felt like it could have been written At any point, there's nothing about this
The
story.
script was the problem.
Yeah, there's nothing about this story that feels interesting, and it feels like it feels like a quickly thrown together scene. It feels like a rushed sequel script, to be honest with you. Where it's
30
like
some years later.
And it was like
it's rushed, yeah.
Yeah, and it's just like, what drove you? What really motivated you guys? And Kelsey had said, she was like, well, I heard it was Jenna Ortega exploding onto the scene.
Really?
And they really felt that they finally had someone who could be Winona Ryder's daughter, essentially.
That's no reason.
And I'm going to tell you what, man, she did nothing for me in this movie.
I will agree with you up to a point.
Okay.
I was right in your corner up until that last scene. And, you know, I don't know how far we're going to go into spoilers, but I almost feel like she didn't have a lot to work with because the script was so poor.
It's fair. I'll give you that.
Because when she got to that final scene and she started doing the almost interpretive dance and stuff, she kind of won me over, man.
That was the bit she did from that Wednesday show,
I never saw that.
Well, I've never watched the show, but I've seen the dance.
I haven't.
She can dance. Okay.
It wasn't even about the dance. It was about the almost goofy exuberance she was showing. Like the facial. I mean, she almost looked like she was on acid or something. It was just. She won me over, right?
Okay, that's great. That's cool. I hated...
And I've never seen... This is the first thing I've ever seen her in.
Okay.
So...
I've seen her in a Scream movie and maybe in a couple other things, you know what I mean?
But
I don't have a problem with her.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not like... I did not come into this movie with like a anything, right? It was like... She just didn't do a whole lot for me.
Well, up until that point, I agree. It was your angsty teen, you know... typical drama about boys, blah, blah, blah. No one understands me.
Yeah.
What can you do with that already hasn't been done? You know what I mean?
Sure.
So at the time I was kind of blaming her, but at the end she kind of won me over and I was thinking, well, this script may definitely be the problem.
Oh, it's the problem. This movie has a lot going on.
Yeah.
And that's a thing that doesn't need to be there.
No.
You know what I mean? Like,
well, and that was part of that whole dragging her into this boy thing was what kind of took me out of the movie because I'm thinking, well, this isn't Beetlejuice.
Yeah. They do a thing
but
there.
But that doesn't mean it's good.
Well, I didn't say necessarily mean it, but I was like, you know what? Okay. Like, that to me, I gave it, that was like one of the little bumps that I would give this movie. Is
Wait,
like,
do you mean the twist that came later?
Yeah.
Okay. Now,
with him.
Okay, I didn't see that, and that was good.
And I thought
I just thought you meant in general.
No. Just so the twist that they pull with him.
Yeah.
I thought I was like, you know what? Didn't see that. That's pretty good. You guys.
Yes.
Good on you guys. You
Well,
got
like
one
I said,
here. Yeah.
By the end of this movie, I started to have more of a positive feel, and that kind of happened towards the end, and that was one of the little pluses. Like I was like, okay, that's clever.
Started kind of coming around.
Yeah, I started to be like, and we'll talk about what threw me over. Not that I would rate this super high.
No,
but
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, again, the movie's kind of all over the place, so even just trying to talk about it. So the shrunken head dudes I don't mind them.
I'm with you.
But I'm like, there was a limit.
Yeah.
Like, and if you guys had stuck to the limit,
they made it a mascot.
You could have had a really good thing here.
It was too much.
But you couldn't help yourselves, and you just pushed it just too far.
You said it. Yeah, they couldn't help themselves.
They couldn't help themselves. This was
it was too much.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm with you. When
Absolutely.
they started kind of bumbling around and stuff, it's almost distracting. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. The movies nowadays should be tighter. You know, movies used to be an hour and a half.
But so with that in mind, though, like, I found myself, like, as I watched it, I was like, here I complain about establishing shots missing from movies all the time. Every time it happened in this movie, though.
This is a sequel, though.
I was just like, and I think that's what it is, right? It's like, we don't need to hang on this house.
We don't.
I know what this house is. Like, I get it. It's a unique house, right?
Yes.
Like, and I think that is as part of what really kind of rubbed me the wrong. It's just like, this, not a good use of screen time, guys. You know what I mean? Like, so, yeah.
I just wish it would have been more more of a poke at society, not just one dirtbag, right?
Well, but then they told us all about our cell phones at the end.
Well, they did, and that was
I didn't.
I didn't do anything.
It was
for me.
yeah. I mean, I'm just like, I don't know.
I didn't even really know what they were going for with the whole face.
Well, I just again,
it didn't.
Yeah,
it just didn't land. It was like a joke that didn't land.
Yeah, it was like, I get it. We all.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we're all on our phones a lot.
Hey,
yeah, right.
you
It's
got
like,
us.
yeah.
I mean, there's smarter ways to do that. That's the whole point of where I thought they should have taken this movie.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It just seems so dumb. Juvenile, I guess, would be a good word, but it just didn't hit for me. Beetlejuice, the original, is so clever, and just the delivery and the script is so... One, it's tight. It's an hour and a half, so you're in, you're out. You got your
And
good
they
stuff.
get it right. Yeah.
And this was kind of meandering with the subplot.
Which subplot? Because
Well,
there's multiple.
I mean, yeah.
You've got a few to choose from.
Well, the big one is the Monica Bellucci character.
Oh my gosh! Like
she's introduced. You don't see her for another hour, and then you don't care when she comes back.
Right, and it's like. I liked the dubbing, the lip syncing.
I like that too, but my kids hated it.
Oh, really?
They hated it.
So in that
I
scene,
loved it.
when you see that scene and you see her and him in the real world or whatever,
I like that. Yeah,
I did love that sequence, right?
Yep.
But I hated it later with the music. Every time it happened with music, I hated it. When they lip sync to any of the songs in the movie.
Oh. I will say yes.
None of those people pull that off well.
Yeah.
In my opinion. Like,
And
like, this is really painful to watch at times.
And the part that I really liked at the end, almost went on too long, and I'm with you.
I felt like it goes on a little,
and
too long.
It was almost cringy because it's you had a lot of lip syncing, and you're just like, okay, can we kind of move on?
How long do we
here?
got to keep going here with this?
And I get it. They're trying to create that last beat of the first movie.
The song is gonna go.
With the Harry Belafonte song, and and she's dancing at the end. But that was like a 15-20 second clip at the end of the movie,
right? And it's just
and then you had this long, almost, I don't know. I have mixed feelings. Like I said, I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
One, I enjoyed the song choice.
Yeah.
If we're going to go down that road.
Let's go down that road. Sure.
Richard Harris, MacArthur Park.
Yes.
I've been talking to my wife for at least a decade about how ridiculous this song is and how happy it makes me feel when I hear it.
Yeah.
His delivery and his vibrato is it's so but it's one of those like love when you hear it, it's like a happy car accident, or I don't know how to explain it, but it's so bad that you love it. And when I hear that song,
there's something endearing about it.
Oh my gosh! And when I heard that, I almost kind of lost it inside. But as we said, it just went too long.
It goes on too long,
and it became a dance number. And I will say that's when they kind of won me over with the Jenna Ortega character.
Yeah.
But it was just too much. And once again, it's more key jangling. Hey, look, this is that thing from the first movie.
Yeah.
And it wasn't as bad. We last spoke about Alien Romulus, which was just the ultimate key jangling of, hey, look at this. We're going to deliver that line, now.
Yeah. Here it is.
And it wasn't that bad.
No, it's not as on the nose. It's a little more generalized, right? Like, it's a little more of like, we're going to be in the same kind of spirit of what we did before.
And I was keeping, like, you had the Michael Keaton where his back was to the camera and his face kind of did the thing that he did in the first.
Right.
And there may have been one or two more.
Sure.
It wasn't as bad.
I didn't feel like it was beating me over the head with
that's a plus.
Visual references.
Yeah, because that's a huge trend in movies these days. It's, especially if you look at the Star Wars and stuff like that. That was a plus.
Yeah.
The song choice was definitely a plus. As we discussed, though, that script, man,
it's rough, man.
It killed the movie for me, and just the meandering. I wish it would have been a little more comedic. I didn't laugh a whole lot. I had a couple chuckles.
I had a couple laughs. Yeah, I had a
mostly at Catherine O'Hara.
She's incredible.
She's so good.
She's so good. I mean, she's great in the original movie, but like as I watched in this one, it was just like, boy, she is just a treat to watch.
And they could have gave her more.
I would have loved for her to have a little more lifting in this movie.
I think it would have helped the movie. And honestly, I don't remember really laughing at Michael Keaton. And he was great.
Not really.
But he had some classic funny lines in the first one. Not a lot of comedy for him.
No,
it was almost
just kind of
talking under his breath in a sense, and just kind of, I'm smarmy Beetlejuice, ha ha ha. But they kind of lost me there too.
And it's unfortunate because he can still clearly do the character, like like the way he carries himself, the delivery, like it's all there. You just gotta give him something.
And
this movie,
in the script.
This movie just didn't really give him a whole lot.
Nope.
Yeah. All right, so let's go ahead and to stub or not to stub. We'll start there. For me, definitely not to stub. Stay at home and wait until you can catch it on Netflix or some streaming service at some point in time.
Probably
and when you watch it there, or Paramount or whoever has that, whoever has it, right? You won't hate yourself for watching it, but you won't hate yourself if you end up missing this for a while.
I agree. I'm definitely a no stub on this one.
Okay.
Yeah. Stay home. Yeah.
Yeah. 3.7. That's my number for this. Yeah.
Wow.
So like for me, all of those different subplots and everything going on.
You really hated it.
Well, I mean, again, it's
holy cow! I'm kind of surprised.
Again, we didn't laugh. Like there were a couple last.
I had some chuckles.
Why is Willem Dafoe even in this movie?
We didn't even talk about him. Yeah.
Yeah, and he gets a lot of time, and it's like
he gets a lot of time. I don't think
a lot of useless time.
Yeah, I can see where they were going with that. You know, that noir kind of detective. They just didn't do enough. I don't know. It wasn't as over. If they would have went like super over the top with it, right?
I think it's different then, but they don't.
But they didn't. Yeah. And it was just kind of like,
he's a dead guy who still kind of can't let go of his personality from when he was alive. It's like that seems to be everybody in this movie, right? Or these two movies now. So the Justin Theroux character and Beetlejuice's wife, they literally get taken out at the end of this movie, and I'm like, they didn't need to be in this whole thing.
She did.
You literally could have cut both of those characters out of this movie, just made it about Lydia and Astrid.
Yeah.
And then Catherine O'Hara. I can't remember what's her name. Do you remember her name? I don't remember her name.
Yeah, I can't remember off the top
Seriously,
of my head.
It could have just been their story about mourning and coming back to the house.
Well, Justin Theroux was just there to remind you of Otho.
I guess.
And that's a disappointment.
And it is, because, he falls way short. Like, that's not even... Honestly,
not even close.
I didn't even connect that.
Yeah, that's...
That did not even, like, click with me.
Yeah.
Because, again, there's 3 or 4 storylines that should not have been in this movie. When you think about how long they waited, it's like... Well, if this was what you were going to do,
30 plus years.
Why not do it 25 years ago? Like, there's nothing here that demands and says, oh, yep, this is why we waited this long.
I'm with you.
So, like...
I have a hard time believing that when someone saw this script, they threw up their hands and said, this is it. This is what we've been waiting 30 plus years for. I have a real hard time.
But that's what they're trying to sell us on. And again, so for me, 3.7, like, and that may seem harsh because of just the excess and the way some of the characters who fell flat for me. Most of the music stuff for me, man, drove me nuts.
The music was harsh.
It just
the use of contemporary music in this film really bugged me.
Yeah.
Because that's not Beetlejuice. It took me out of it. especially the love scene stuff. You just don't put that mopey shoegaze stuff in this kind of movie. That's not what it's about. I'm gonna say I would give this a 5. I know.
Wow. No, that's fine.
That's
That's
so
all right.
weird that
it's
But honestly, though, the ending sequence puts me at like 5.5. I give it 5.5 extra points because just including that song, I loved it so much. But I definitely don't like this movie.
yeah.
But I smiled so
It's hard
much
when a movie
at that
does something to you like that,
when
right? Where it's
it
like,
just tickles a funny part of you, and you're just like, yeah, man, that's it.
that'll be a YouTube clip you come back to regularly. Is what I'm hearing.
And yeah, my daughter Erica was like, I'll never have to see that movie again, but
Yeah.
I might check out that ending someday. Like, I don't know,
when you're
year
having a
from
rough
now.
day and
Yeah,
you're like, oh, you know what?
I'll check it out. I
This'll
don't know.
make me-
Will I rewatch the whole movie? No, I will not.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was definitely a 5. I have such good nostalgia for the first Beetlejuice. For me, that movie captures my humor, dry, kind of really sarcastic, and I love poking fun at that whole yuppie thing. And
Sure.
just the whole feel and vibe of that movie is so good, man. And stuffy art.
Yeah.
That's another.
Oh yeah.
Come
Absolutely.
on.
Yeah.
Art's so subjective, and for you to put so much weight into something you've created, come on, man.
Boy, she creates some great things in
Oh,
this
yeah.
new one though.
Oh, yeah.
It's pretty
She's
good.
so good, and she puts a couple more points in there to get it to 5.5. Man, I just wish they would, like I said, I wish they would have done more with her.
Yeah.
They had so many great tools. We didn't even talk about Beetle Baby. How did you feel about Beetle Baby?
Oh my gosh. I didn't do a whole lot for me. I didn't hate it. Like, it was just, honestly, it was like, that seems on brand
it's a trend.
Like,
yeah,
it's like, sure, right?
Yeah.
Like, it just felt on brand for what this movie was for me, honestly.
I will
Like,
say
how about that dream sequence
that
at the
ending
end?
at the end kind of that's what kind of left me with a decent feeling. I thought that was kind of clever.
I
did see it coming though.
When she rolls over and he's there, I liked that.
Yeah.
And then for the double, the double fake essentially.
That gave me. Do you remember David Cronenberg's The Fly with Jeff Goldblum?
Yeah.
Remember at the end?
Yeah.
My mind instantly
Went right there. That's good.
Because it's so like, oh, I see where they're going with this.
Yeah.
But then you knew it had to be a dream because obviously.
Right.
But still, the fact that they did it.
Yeah.
And it was different and kind of clever. I liked it.
I didn't hate that part of the, like, again, it was, you were like, what is, okay. Yeah. Like, you're like, whoa, what did I miss? Like,
exactly.
But I didn't.
Just to end this, I think it finished stronger than it started. Like I said, I was super bored at the beginning of the movie. My mind was wandering. And by the end, I won't say they redeemed themselves, obviously, because there's so much to get through. But it ended strong for me.
When you're getting to the back half of the second act and winding into the third, it's definitely a better ride. But for me, the damage had already been done. Like, it was just like...
Yeah, it was irredeemable at that point. But yeah, that song, buddy, it just pushed me over.
That's so good. I think my one other thing is, again, like the other big nitpick I have is like, you gotta write your main. If you're gonna you're making it. It's called Beetlejuice. You gotta come with the ace, but he's gotta get the A material.
He's gotta have
that should be the
too.
Easiest part
Yep.
to deliver on.
Yeah,
and I think that's probably why I'm so low on it, because it was like, this is the one thing.
I agree. Yeah.
This could be an awful movie, but you're gonna give me 15 good minutes of Beetlejuice.
Yeah. And we didn't get that.
They did not give me 15 good minutes of Beetlejuice. Like, and I don't even really have much to say about it. Again, I loved the sequence of him and his wife. As much as I think the wife was unnecessary, they also gave me one of my favorite sequences when they're seeing him digging up the bodies and all that stuff, or he's a grave robber and all that.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
I loved that. That was, but, yeah.
See, that's funny because my son, Jake, hated that. Erica hated that. They both hated that part. And I didn't mind it. Did I need to know the origins of Beetlejuice? No. But I thought it was good. And like we said, I love the non-English speaking parts. I thought that was clever.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But there's also references in there that, like, people aren't going to get. Soul Train?
I know. I was like...
My kids don't know what Soul Train is.
As I watched it, it was like, well, Tim Burton made this for himself.
Yeah. And that's the only conclusion
He made,
come
that's,
to.
I think it's the only place you land, right?
Yeah.
Is he made it for himself, which, again, you can say, well, good for him. Like, artists make a movie for them, but, like, sometimes you miss on that swing, buddy.
Yeah,
and
because,
this movie took swings. Like,
right. I mean, you're also dating yourself in a sense. Not that, a show from the late 60s, early 70s, says a lot about your age and stuff, but there was a reference to Happy Days in there.
There was, that's right.
And
yeah.
How many people are going to understand that?
I don't know, man.
I half chuckled, I guess. Was it really worth throwing it in there for a half chuckle? But I don't know. Maybe we're putting too much weight into something that's...
That kid's character isn't really worth
I will say, when he met his demise, I was kind of like, yeah, nice.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
That seems earned. Yeah, it was just like, you know what?
Dirtbag.
Yeah, he's a dirtbag that the movie kind of added. And again, if you thinned out some of the other crap, he would have probably been just fine for what his role was.
Or they could have made him worse. They could have made him...
He could have been the primary, But I think if you do that, then it's a little more telegraphed and you see it coming.
Probably, yeah.
You know what I mean?
We may not have
the
got
brevity
that
of it, I
surprise.
think, lends into it. Because if you start spending more time, they'll have to show some cracks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And
all
we were
that,
so. surprised
And
on
we
that.
were both legitimately surprised at that.
Okay.
So. Anything else you want to say about Beetlejuice, buddy?
I'm glad it's over.
Me too. Me too.
Hey, we went pretty good.
Stubs. All done.